Hello, everybody. I am Lauren Cohen from Investing Cross Borders, your cross border and international lawyer, realtor, and investment strategist. I help people invest literally all over the world. We just did our first webinar on expanding your global footprint, not just North American, which leads me well into my discussion today with Anita Rodal. So I met Anita in a global chamber event. I don't know, or something. I met Anita. Oh, I know, on LinkedIn. Now that I think about it, and she is part of the global chamber and is actually speaking in a few hours. And I just came out of a global chamber event. And Anita and I connected because she has the Israeli flag at the beginning of her LinkedIn profile. And whenever I see that, it means I need to talk to her. So we connected, and I really didn't even know what she did. But once we connected, I was like, oh my God, that so complements what I do. So, and rather than me belaboring that, I will let Anita introduce herself and share a little about what she does.
Okay, thank you. Well, I'll start off with like the 30-second elevator pitch, and then I'll go into more detail. So, hello, everybody. Anita Rodal. I'm president of SVPI Services, and I represent several currency exchange companies. We help importers, global companies, real estate investors save money and time on their cross-border payments. Domestically in the US, I also broker business and equipment loans, accounts receivable factoring, and global inventory financing. On a different note, if you need help reducing your accent when speaking English or creating a stellar 30-second elevator pitch, I also offer coaching on both of those. So that's the bird's eye view.
So for your equipment and other financing, that is specifically US based. So it's only if they have a social, right?
Yes, among other things, yes. So
Right.
it has
Okay.
to be,
So
it's a
that's
US.
the minimum requirement. They're not going to access the domestic financing for equipment and related loans without at least starting with the social security number. So we have to get you status in the US first for that. But for the currency exchange, that's going to be a part of your process as you're getting status or as you're expanding your global footprint or as you're investing internationally. So can you share a little about how you got into that?
Sure. So years ago, I was working for a bank originating commercial real estate loans, and I met so many people at different events. And one of them, and along the way, I picked up other lenders. One who was an international lender. So I started going to global real estate events, and that's where I met the currency exchange people who said, "Oh, you're going to the events anyways. You should represent us." And it was a perfect complement to what I was doing. I'm not doing those international loans anymore, but the currency exchange part was fascinating and was my ticket, my excuse to keep on meeting global people, because people who do business globally, people who travel, it's a different mindset. It's my people. I love them. And so anything I can do to stay close to them is what I do. I have been involved in helping global realtors guide their people on the currency exchange part so that they understand that, when you're making a global payment, when you're transferring money to buy a piece of property in another country, you're coming from somewhere else, Lauren's helping you buy something here. If you're using your bank to do the currency exchange, you're going to pay a lot more than you need to. Sometimes you don't know where your money is in transit and things of that sort. So there are companies that specialize in this, and that's why I represent them, because it gives you not only a means of having more control over your money, but you have people then whose job it is to help give you strategies on when to send your money. The currency exchange rates, they fluctuate on a second by second basis. There is no such thing as a daily rate. So when you walk into your bank and you see they're all on like flat screens, but it used to be they would physically put the numbers up back in the day. That's a rate that doesn't exist. So that's a rate that your bank is creating for you, and they don't have a crystal ball. They do not know what's going to happen during the day, because somebody could sneeze, another bomb
Doesn't
could
take
fall
much.
on Israel. The US could go, launch against Iran. Whatever it is, anything that happens over here is going to affect everybody everywhere else. So they pad those rates in addition to the commission that they want to make, which everybody's entitled to make a commission, not a philanthropic endeavor. That's fine. But because they're posting a daily rate, they're padding that in addition to everything else they want to make on the transaction. And you're going to pay the price on that. And it could be the difference. It could be, if you're moving $500,000, it could be $15,000-$20,000 difference that could have been in your pocket for your kitchen remodel, for example. That actually happened to a client. So you want to take advantage of people that are there to provide services to you that you may not have been aware of, but they will definitely make your life easier.
Cool. So and so, um, what is it that you were saying that you like kind of following your client's journey, right? So I assume that you love travel. You have a travel bug.
I do. It's my favorite thing. If you find me on my Facebook page, it's going to say traveler, anti animal rescuer, and traveler. I love traveling. I have family all over the world, as do most of us in the diaspora. But I love traveling. It's not so much fun anymore with all the security stuff, but we do what we can. So I try and do a trip to Spain to visit my in-laws every year. My niece lives in Australia. My other niece is in New York. And then I try and do a trip to somewhere I haven't been before. So actually, right before October 7th, we were in Israel and Greece. And so that was, perfect timing. And actually, a lot of time it's a write-off because I'm always looking for clients wherever I am. So yeah, I love traveling. I love talking with other people. I love the fact that whenever you in another place, wherever you are, if you're nice to people, people are nice to you. People are lovely. Certain countries have
Most of the time.
most of the time, but I've learned that smiles are free, and the word thank you goes a very long way. So when I travel, I look up whatever the word for thank you is in that country. I don't even, I might have like good morning because like in Greece, it's a fun word.
What is it?
Kalimera. Yeah, I don't even know good afternoon. Hello is like complicated, but I have efkaristo, which is thank you, and then parakalo is like you're welcome. Israel, obviously it's toda rabah. So wherever you are, just that's the word I write down and I carry around with me, because once you say thank you in someone else's language, like barriers come down. People are helpful because they're like, wow, this person is making an effort. And I think that's important. We appreciate it here in the US. We expect people to speak English here. And so we should be prepared to make an effort when we go to other countries.
So it's interesting because you mentioned saying thank you and being polite, and unfortunately, when you're traveling, people tend to not pay attention to that enough, and it's important, to acknowledge the fact that not everybody does speak English, and you have to be kind and empathetic when you're traveling, because you can't expect them to just do whatever you think is the right thing to do. Like, and there's different cultural things. Like, you don't hand your card out in China; you deliver it like this. So
You
it's
present
learning
it.
all those things, doing what I do, doing what you do, and adjusting to those cultural nuances. Um, so I remember a few years ago, somebody gave me a book, or won a book or something uh, it was like a networking lunch, an international networking lunch. So I won this book, and I decided, since I already had a copy of this book, that I would pay it forward and give the book to someone else. Well, the person who gave it to me was from Latin America, and I insulted him greatly, to the point where you would have thought I had, yeah. So I was trying to be a go giver and pay it forward, and instead I insulted him in the process. So it really does go to show you that you really do need to know your audience, and where you're coming from. And as you were talking about the travel bug, and I know I shared with you the San Juan Social Club cruise because I thought it was so perfect for you, and I know you can't make it, but I'm just, I love sharing that cruise because it's a kind of like a melting pot of different cultures from literally all over the world. I
Mhm.
talk to my dear friend Simon in London almost every day, and I met him on the cruise. So at the end of the day, it's really about expanding your horizons and opening your mind and building that pipeline and building your relationships internationally, because that's really important. So, what do you what if you could give one piece of advice to your younger self, what would it be?
I don't know. I was pretty bold in my younger days. Maybe care less what other people think.
Yes, because it doesn't really matter. I'm
It
still
doesn't
teaching that to myself now.
exactly. And I didn't care so much. I was a middle child. I kind of grew up
Ah,
being a semi bully in my family because it took both my older sister and my younger sister to gang up on me because they were pipsqueaks and I was bigger than they were. Um,
got it.
but so I don't know if it's because of that or just the way I was born that I am incredibly vocal. I have to control myself so I don't just like blurt out what I'm thinking. Um, which is why I make that effort to smile and say thank you. And I put a layer in front of everything so that um, I know at least I'm sort of like you talked about paying it forward. I'm paying it forward, just being nice into the world. I let people get in my lane at the last minute because I think, oh, someday I'm going to cut somebody off, you know. And so I'll let anybody come in at the last minute that needs to because that way I know in the
Right.
universe
Someday it'll be you.
it will be me. It
Yeah.
absolutely. Somebody's having a bad day. You do not know what's going on in somebody else's brain, what happened that day. And I think maybe the pandemic kind of drove that home a little bit. Or even, what's going on in Israel. I always think when people say, "Oh, I'm having a bad day," I'm like, well, you're not having a bomb dropped on you today. I
Right.
think every
Or
day is
you're
a good
not
day.
not potentially living or almost dead underground. Like,
Yeah. So
yeah.
I'm grateful every day that I have that I live where I live here in the United States and in Southern California on top of it all. And I try and keep everything in perspective every day
Hmm.
because, it could always be worse.
Could
And
always be worse. Right.
yeah,
So, what are some key qualities that you notice in people that succeed globally? Have you noticed any kind of commonality?
they're more open minded.
Hmm.
Um,
Agreed. Yes.
honestly, since October 7th, I've gotten some hate. And I'm like, well,
Yes.
good to know. I don't want to do business with you anyway. It's maybe a little hesitant sometimes, but I refuse to give in to that. I'm not going to judge somebody because their last name, looks like it's somewhere in the Middle East, and I know it's not Israeli. Um, and especially like in the global chamber, I feel safe.
Hmm.
I'm so happy because, when people are in a global world for business, they do tend to be more open minded, and so I've stopped being so paranoid about that. Um, but I just find that people don't think that wherever they are is the center of the universe. And so Americans don't think America is, the United States is the center of the universe. People in France don't think that France is the center of the universe.
You don't
Just
think Americans think America is the center of the
no,
universe?
not the global people.
Oh, got it.
That's the difference. That's the difference. And it's I think it's getting a lot better because, when I was in college, I knew one person that did a semester at sea, and I knew one person who in high school did a semester in Sweden because her mom was Swedish. But doing a semester abroad or a year abroad in college was unheard of back
Mm,
then. And now it's the norm. And
the
so
norm.
people, no matter where they're going, if they don't want to learn a new language, they'll go to the UK or they'll go to Canada, and if they want to be really challenged, they'll go to Japan or China or Korea or someplace where they have to learn a new orthography in addition to a new language. But we've got an entire generation of college kids who are coming out with a global perspective.
Hmm.
And I think that goes a long way to kind of just dispersing a broader mentality of people coming up, of kids coming up in the world. They're not kids anymore; they're adults now. Um, so I'm hopeful that will get better
Yeah.
across the world.
You mentioned something about people expressing some hate toward you. So, I use this background. I've been using it for a long time. I think maybe pre October 7th, I'm not sure. And it obviously has an Israeli flag. And I'm very vocal about being pro Israel. And oh, that reminds me, safe. And really focusing on helping people get out of anti-Semitism, and because there's a lot of it in Canada, a lot, which is my home country.
Yeah.
So, and I just had a consult this morning with a Canadian couple and told them I would send them the video. So people have said to me, "Why don't you take your that flag down?" Or "Why are you so pro-Israel? And you're probably losing clients." And like you said, they are not clients because I don't want to work with them. So not everybody has to be pro-Israel, but you can't be anti-Israel. And if you're anti-Israel, you're anti-me, and that's it. So I don't want to work with you because I certainly don't want to help. It doesn't work for me. It doesn't resonate with me, and I have to believe in what I'm doing so that I can do the best by my client. So I
Absolutely.
felt that that was important to echo that sentiment. And, just like you have your Israeli flag at the beginning of your LinkedIn profile, it's going to piss people off, but that's okay.
Absolutely. Yeah, I had it when October 7th first happened. I didn't have it up anywhere, but the easiest thing for me to do, because I'm technologically challenged, is I just changed my signature block. And there was a woman who was from the Middle East who I'd met at an international show, and we were talking about helping her company with currency exchange. And we had been
Right.
texting the whole time. I hadn't even changed it on my. I didn't have it on my texting at that time yet. And so finally she just said, "Oh, just email me the information." And I emailed her. And so it was the first time she saw anything that referenced Israel. And
Hmm.
the hate email that I got back for her was so ignorant
Right.
that I spent the time, I was like numb. I couldn't, it didn't like register. I wasn't mad. I was just like, oh, this is such an uninformed person. And I went
Right.
back and said, "I'm so sorry you're so uninformed. You should know this. And you should know that Israel's been paying for the power in Gaza all these years when its own government and the Palestinian Authority didn't want to pay for that. Like Israel does more for Gaza than the Gazan government does."
Yeah.
And she said, "I never want to talk to you again." I said, "Well, I'd be happy to
Mhm.
talk to you because I think that the only way to educate people is to have a conversation." That's another reason why I'm nice to people, because I don't want anybody to ever point the finger and say, "Oh, there's that Jewish, you know what? She was
Right.
so
And
mean to
then
me."
you become a stereotype.
Right. So I figure I wear my Jewish star everywhere. That makes me a representative, and it keeps me in line.
Yeah.
It's another reason to be nice because
Correct.
everybody will say, "Have you ever heard this conversation?"
Everybody's judging us.
Yeah,
Right.
so and so is da da
100%.
da. He's Jewish. Oh, but he was nice. Like I can't tell you how many times in my lifetime I've heard that. I'm like, I don't understand why that's a qualification. I don't say,
Well,
"Oh
I
yeah,
say that about being a lawyer.
oh yeah, right, right. Oh my God, I just saw some really good lawyer jokes the other day. I won't like they were funny. My nephew-in-law is a lawyer. My uncle was a lawyer. They usually have a good sense of humor. But
You have to. You have to be able to laugh at yourself and
yeah,
all of that, especially as a
absolutely.
lawyer. So I remember when I was a young lawyer and I moved to the US and I thought I was all that. And I realized I wasn't. It was a hard lesson, but yeah. So it's growing and maturing and learning and being kind is so important. So
It
Anita,
is.
how do people reach you if they want to learn more about the currency exchange, or maybe they're in the US and want to learn about some of your loan options?
Oh, okay. Well, the easiest way is just to go to my website, sbpiservices.com. And from there, I have links to the lending website. If it's about currency exchange, just give me a call. My phone number is on there. I mean, unless you want me to give that information now.
No, it's
Um,
fine. They can look on the website, sure.
but yeah, exactly. Because I need to know what your needs are. I need to know what your time frame is. I need to know there's moving pieces, and I am not a currency trader. I just do business development, but I've been doing this since 2009. And so depending on your needs, I might connect you to one company or the other,
Right.
whether it's
Very
business, whether it's
concierge. It depends
yeah,
on where you're moving your money from and to, what type of what type of funding you need, how quickly. There's a lot of factors.
There's a
So
lot of moving pieces. Yeah. And so
mhm,
that's part of, the services I provide is that like if you just go out in the world and try and find somebody that can get something done, they might get something done, but it may not be exactly what you need.
correct.
So having somebody who
So
has this
important.
whole tool chest of things is helpful because I save you time, and ultimately, you'll get better pricing on what you need to do.
Yeah, that's really an important factor too, because I talk about all the time how a lot of immigration lawyers or lawyers in general will get you from A to B or A
Yeah.
to Z,
Yeah.
but they don't take you on the journey. They just get you the result. And I always think about when I was in math and they would always say, show your work, because I would rush through things. And showing your work and doing the steps and going through that process is just as important as the result. It's not how you win or lose, it's how you play the game, right?
Exactly. And that's actually, I learned that when I went back to graduate school, just in studying techniques. It's the process. That's how you learn. It's a process. It's not memorizing. You don't learn anything by memorizing. Um,
No, you do not.
yeah.
Well, thank you so much for joining us.
My pleasure. Thank
I will
you.
wish for continued peace or
Yep.
newfound peace and the remaining hostages to please be set free. Thank you again for joining us. I'm Yusrael Chai, and take care. And I'll see you in a few hours when you're presenting.
Okay.
Thank
Thank you.
you.
Looking forward to it. I'm Yusrael. Hi. Take
Thank you
care.
so much. Bye.
Ciao, ciao. Bye.